Now, the other center that is coming out of that one is, actually it's not shown here, but it comes out of that, is the center called as of Swadhisthana, is the center by which you think, you organize for the future, you think, you organize for the future, you work out your action through it. Like we think all the time. What we do is nothing but think. I mean, planning is such a curse that we don't do anything about it. We just plan and keep it in the book. Or we have planned it. They think we have planned it, it's done already. It's not so. Now this thinking gives us a realm of future into which we enter in. When we start thinking, we do not know how we imbalance ourselves. In this area resides the principle of the primordial masters, as Gregor has told you. Now when you start thinking, this center, the one you see, the yellow colored center, transforms the fat from your stomach for the use of your brain. Now people are so much against fat these days that it would be really dangerous to talk for it. Now, from where are you to get the replacement of your brain cells? Tell me, if you are not going to consume any fat. As it is, your livers are out, so whatever fat you take any amount of fat, you will not have any weight. Try. Because that fat is the reserve for your brain, which thinks all the time. You have to, do you know that this brain is made of fat cells? Do you know this or not? Is nothing but fat cells. In Sanskrit, is called as med. And the whole thing is called as med, even the brain. Even your nerves are made of the fat cells. Now when you don't take it, any form of fat whatsoever, I mean, I'm told that lots of butter is lying here wasted. When I say, I don't say you ate the mountain of it. No. What I'm saying, if you don't take at all any fat, then what you do is to make your body starve for the fat that is needed for one of the purposes is the brain and for your nerves. If you don't take fat in the body, you will be a nervous person. What is the supplement for your nerves? What are you going to supply it? That's why you find, you see, mostly to make it out, and Westerner and Indian is very easy. You make them stand before any calamity, all right? The Indian would be silently watching. The another would be going into completely say, everything will be coming out. Or the eyes will be twisting, the nose will be going up and down, the ears will be going like that. They'll be all nervous. The reason is your nerves do not have any sustenance in it. That's lost because you just don't take any fat. Take little bit. I'm not saying the mountains. You see, if I say something, you may jump into the mountain of fat. That's not the point. But just to avoid completely the fat is a wrong idea, creates an imbalance. Now this poor center has to do double job. Firstly, it has to supply the fat to the brain. Secondly, it has to look after your liver on the right hand side. When it moves to the left hand side, your pancreas, your spleen, your kidneys and uterus. Can you imagine? All these things this poor thing has to do. Now if you are thinking all the time, then it is trying to find out all the fat globules it can get from everywhere to supply in the brain. All right. And if it does not get that, then it is a dangerous thing. But even if it gets it, then it is creating a problem for the other organs which it has to look after. That's how people get diabetes. You don't get diabetes because you eat sugar. It's a wrong idea altogether. I don't know from why the doctors have started this kind of a thing. For example, in India, people take sugars, at least half a kilo of sugar per day in the villages, at least minimum. They eat more sugar than they eat rice. Take it from me. But nobody has diabetes. Why? Because they don't think. Whatever sugar they take is used for their liver. Now, if you do not give your liver any sugar, now ask anyone. how the liver acts. Liver is the one that takes out all your poison. Now this poison is to be taken out of the liver by water. Now if you take the water and drink on top of that, what happens? That the hydrogen becomes heavier. I mean, there's H3 added to it, and the whole system of H2O, which has to be neutral, becomes like this, and you can't receive any heat into it. So the whole heat, which is the poison, accumulates in the liver. You get all kinds of liver problems, all kinds of liver problems. Practically, most of the Western people have liver problems, but they don't know it till they discover it. Till they are absolutely on the verge of something very fatal, they do not discover about liver. Now this hydrogen, which pulls it down, you see, becomes like an arrow, doesn't receive anything from the liver, the heat. And such a person never gets any temperature. Even cancer acts the same way. In cancer also the H goes down very much, though it's a left-sided problem, which I'll tell you. But same thing happens, that the heat of the body cannot be taken out by water. So the water becomes a heavy water, you can say. But after realization, the hydrogen goes up like that, and you receive all the heat. And people who have bad liver feel terrible heat on the right-hand side. Now you have to take carbohydrates to neutralize that heat. You have to take carbohydrates. Now if you don't like sugar, eat rice. I mean, if there's some sort of a thing on your head. This also is an enterprise. I must tell you, these food stores are also another enterprise, which is very, very subtle. Very subtle enterprise. You see, as you had other enterprises of gurus, then you had of holidays, you see, some idea must have come. Then these what you were there, singers, musicians were there, 4 of them, Beatles. You know, the one who created them, Beatles, his uncle has told me the story how he did it. It was all maneuvering to begin with. And that maneuvering made people mad, and that madness is still on. You see, people go on into that. It's all auto-suggestion and all those things, they work it out. They're psychologists, you see, and they know how to maneuver people and how to dominate them. They know, and they manage it. They work it out on your weaknesses, like you do not know about food. Now, some of the health food I ate, it was not for human beings, it was for buffaloes, I felt. Really. Some of the foods were so hard and so harsh. I got such a pain in my stomach. I said, no, this is not for human beings. This is for buffaloes. You are not buffaloes. You are human beings. You have to eat food which is digestible to your stomach. Of course, that doesn't mean you should use this white bread. Of course, that is not the thing which makes your liver completely sort of, or you can say the intestine sluggish. But you should not eat all the fodder of such a hard things, like everything you cut because you want to preserve the vitamins. You will cut everything and eat everything like that. Japanese are the worst on this. Japanese are the worst. I mean, there's nothing that they don't eat. They eat everything that you could think of. I mean, you can't eat their food the way they eat. First thing they served me at a very special banquet, where the princess was there and all that, was a shell with all these moss around it. See, for us Indians, as it is a little fussy about these things, and my daughters were there. I said, what is in there? It's a say live thing. I said, live? We were all frightened. What is live? They said, the oyster or something is live inside. And they poked it and it started going like that, you see. I said, oh God, how do you eat it? And the Japanese just twisted it down and ate it off, you see. And they eat everything raw. There was a boy who was eating peanuts. We asked him, what are you eating? He said, I'm eating these prawns. He was just feeling them out and eating them nicely. Can you imagine? This is the way they eat their food, which is not meant for the human body. You have to cook, but your women are so busy with liberation, they don't cook. They don't cook. You should learn to cook to handle your husbands. You see, if you know how to cook, it's very simple. In our Sahaja Yoga Center, we teach them how to cook. Because if you know cook, you are the master. You see, men are really so simple. I mean, really so I cook very well. I'm an excellent cook, I should say. But a gentleman came to see me. He was a German, and he told me that there was one chairman of a company that he told me, if you want to eat the best chicken Ask Mrs. Srivastava to cook for her. That's my another name. And she's an excellent cook. I was surprised I had this reputation all over that I cook so well with chicken. And he came all the way, you see, and he brought the chicken with him. And he came all the way to cook with me and to eat it. And he was a very big man also himself. I was amazed, you see, that just to learn how to cook the chicken. He said, my wife doesn't know how to cook. Just imagine how helpless he was. All men are helpless as far as food is concerned. If you give them good food, you see, they may say, oh, we can eat whatever we like. But it's not so. If you know their tastes and things, and if you know how to handle them, it's very easy to handle them. Like somebody told me, Indian men are very great cowards. I said, why? Because they don't know how to cook, that's why they don't divorce. Imagine to say such a thing. It's not that. They are very wise. What's this of changing every day a wife, you see? One wife, she knows all about your habits, she knows everything, she knows how to cook for you. It's a good idea. We carry on very well as companions. Every time if you change, God knows she may come as a shrew, she may come as anything. You may lose your head with somebody, another may break your hand, another may break your legs. It's better to know one and handle her for this lifetime. So next time at least you don't face that time. It's very simple and wise way of living together to understand that in one lifetime only, if you live with one person, you develop that love, that attention, that understanding, because human beings basically are very good. If you live with somebody for 2 days, you will just see the superficial things of that person. That may not be good. So to get to the depth of a person, it's necessary you live with that person with a loving care, you see that person, and you will discover how beautiful that person is. He is so beautiful sometimes that you're surprised at him. The other day, I had to go for something to a hospital. I mean, I never go to a hospital, but something happened and doctors were after my life, you must do this, you must do that. And my husband couldn't see that. He was so upset, he had never seen me like that. So he went back to his office, he put his head like this, and he was sitting there, didn't do any work and anything. So when he came back, I was angry with him. I said, what do you mean by not being here? I was here and there were other people. But actually I knew what he was doing. So I went and told him, I know you ran away, you coward, you couldn't stand there. He said, it's true, you know, I couldn't see it. And then his secretary told me, oh boy, he was horrid. He wouldn't talk to me, he wouldn't allow me to do anything. That's what happened. So to understand a man, it's such a great thing to love. I don't know if you realize that. It's such a great thing to love, to give. It's much greater than to have. Giving, I don't know if you have tried or not. All my life I've done nothing but giving. And I think I feel so happy about it. The real source of happiness lies in giving only, not in taking it anymore. It's such a great thing to give. Give, give, give. And you'll be amazed you have no dearth of anything. That is what one has to understand. But to think about what things I should preserve, what things I should give, what is there to think? If somebody likes to have it, doesn't matter. It works out.